Right, so we've got a new month and a new project, which is people. So people in a, so it can be people in landscape, people in the interior, or people, people doing something, or people in the distance. It's very, very general, but more rather than sort of portrait, which I did a little bit of portrait a month or two ago, or might have included it in the last project. Probably was the last project, wouldn't it? We've only had a month back. I thought I'd do something just for the whole figure. So I found this picture, which must be one of Pauline's, just looking through and I thought that's a nice big clear picture to work from. So that's the one I'll work from today. And I've forgotten my clips today, so I'm going to just tape it to the board. And just take a few stages. So there's a couple of pictures here, paintings I brought in as well, that have got people in. So this is one I did as a demo quite a while ago, and then I just worked it up a little bit in the studio because I was quite happy the way it was going. So when I was painting the Wye Valley, I was kind of painting a view of a bridge, which was kind of this way. I just turned round, and this obviously the river and the stepping stones. I just like that as a subject. It's, so that's one. There's a couple of other. There's a few more here. These are more kind of plein air ones that I did there at the time. So this one does need a bit more work, but it sort of shows how include people. One way, some ways of including people. There's a few more down there. Also got a few sketchbooks, so things like family sketches, or this has got quite a few sketches of people on trains. So I just keep this in my painting bag when I go to London and sketch people on the train when I'm going out. And that was around the fountains in Southend. So people are very central to my paintings, I would say. Although I do landscapes and things with maybe just boats and things like that. I like a few things going on really. So if I was going to draw her, the way I go about drawing figures, and I've really got this through lots of practice with life drawing over the years. I used to go to evening classes and then the same with college and teaching. I tend to just get a bit of an idea where I want. This is a massive photo, so I'm actually going to be drawing pretty much the scale of the photo. Get a sense of where I want to draw, where the head would be, where the feet would be, and then just roughly plot out. So this is just like a pastel pencil. It's nice and light. I can rub it out very easily. You could use charcoal or just use a pencil lightly. So it's just feeling your way around the pose and just making sure that everything's going to fit in really to start with. So starting quite loosely. I then like to imagine where the middle of the face would be, the middle of the head. So in this case, she's fairly square onto us, but there's a little bit more of this side of the head than there is that. And it's very unlikely that you're going to be bang square on when you're drawing somebody. And yet, when I look at people's drawings, that's how we're naturally inclined to draw. We like to draw people quite symmetrically. So if that was going to be a head shape, I'm thinking probably the middle of the features would be something like that, and her eye level would be about here. And then I just need to allow a little bit more on that side of the head to that side of the head. And I think really then, I might then start, perhaps do a few more guidelines. So I'm thinking like the middle of the neck, perhaps there, middle of the torso there. I'm seeing a shoulder, so in relation to her features, roughly perhaps here a shoulder, but I'm probably going to need to adjust this as I draw into it. This part of her arm is going down like that, and this part of her arm like that. So I'm almost sort of drawing a stick figure, the middle of a thigh, perhaps about there, and then this part of her leg about there. So it's almost like a sort of stick figure, just to roughly feel my way around. So once I've got that, I then want to go to a darker or just a heavier line. I tend to, if I can see a face, I find it really hard not to draw a face, to be honest. So I don't want to put too much detail in, but it just helps me, once I've got the features in, it helps me to locate where everything else is. Some people would just start with almost like a face head shape. I'm inclined to draw from the inside of the forms outwards. So that would be, you know, perhaps eyes there, mouth there, lips there. I'm not drawing tons of detail, but just to get and then the main parts of the face. A little bit more room here than there is there. Roughly hair shape. And then the top of the head, I think about there. We'll just check that. So I'd expect that to be just about halfway. So there's slightly more, so actually maybe a little bit higher for the top of the head. So I just want to reduce it down, otherwise I might run out of room. Put that there. Her ears about there. Again, it's just positions at the moment. And then looking about where the middle of a neck would be. So the middle of the features is there. And the middle of the neck is sort of just about there, really. So that's worth popping in. And then I can draw the side of the neck there. Hair's coming around here. And looking at a shoulder, that's that. That's roughly, I think, in line with a, just looking in relation to her ear. So if her ear's there, the middle of that shoulder is about there, you know, roughly in line with her ear. So it's basically draw something and then relate the other bits to it. That'll be there. And the line I've got there is good enough. And that helps me to give a general direction, and then I can look at the shape of the muscles either side. Also I want to perhaps get this neckline in. It's always much more difficult drawing people with clothes on than naked, because you can't really see you just can't see what's going on really. And I learned to draw through life drawing, you know, so you've just seen the whole of the form. So what I'm going to do here is really imagine where her rib cage is going to be, and that's going to be about here really. So the neck's going back this way, but her rib cage I think is going that way. And then her other shoulder, again I can't really see it because of hair, but I'm guessing somewhere here. So it might be worth just sketching that in, even though there's hair over the top of that. I've got that far, and then really want to get a position for her knee, and just seeing where that is in relation to her shoulder. It's probably about that high. I could measure that distance there and compare it with something in her face, and that comes up to about there. So that is about where her knee needs to go. That line works okay. And then the other thing is looking at shapes, like the shape of the vest. So I'm sort of looking at that as a shape and thinking perhaps I've got that a little bit big, maybe come a bit further up. And start to work that down. Same here, perhaps a little bit of the calf muscle, shape of the thigh. And then her elbow turns about there. And then on this side, looking at the shape of that muscle there, that goes, comes straight and comes that way a little bit and then out to her elbow. Her back, I'm not really drawn anything to do with the back yet, but that is quite an angle coming across here. And then yeah, then that starts to turn in about there. You could try and get some of these folds in her vest. I've not been very precise with those, but just try and get a general impression of those. Yep, and then I think her bottom is about there. Right, getting down to the difficult bit of feet and hands. So from there, I'm just looking where her heel would be. That's there. And again, I could perhaps put a couple of guidelines. That's roughly the middle of the foot. That bit. And looking at this particular photo is quite good for all these little kind of what you call negative shapes. You know, these shapes in here, these shapes. Just trying to sort of see that as a whole shape in there. And when I do that, when I look at that, actually that's too wide, isn't it? These need to come a lot closer in. So something either yeah, I'll bring that over a little bit. Not quite sure what I've done there, but one way or another, that space needs to close up. Let's bring that over a little bit. It's partly because I'm looking at an angle, I'm not really drawing square on, which is really important to draw square onto your subject. So looking at that, I think the top of that thigh is there, that down to there, and then I can just see a little bit of knee poking out there, and the foot goes off in that direction. Foot there, I think. The hand is coming through here. Hands are quite tricky things to draw, and there's a temptation to just go around like finger shapes, do this sort of thing. What I find is more useful is to look at the alignment of the knuckles. So I'll go back to this pencil, and if you kind of, you know, that's curving round there, roughly about there, and then the next set of knuckles, that comes down, then comes up again. It's almost like curving the other way. Or I could draw a little bit of the first finger, sometimes that helps. That comes there, and then first finger. So it's almost like sort of drawing like a mitten shape, but getting a sense of the alignment of the knuckles first. And then I've got a little finger there. And then from that, I can then just divide that up. That finger's coming back that way. A little bit of gap there. That finger is straighter, and then curls in a bit at the end. So I think hopefully that would give me a better oval shapes. And the other thing is sort of maybe making some of the lines slightly heavier than others. So it might be that, there's perhaps a heavy line there, but a lighter line in somewhere else. But hopefully that will give and then her little finger is slightly further back, that's about there. And then onto her toe, onto there, and hopefully that will be, follow that shape around there. That needs to hopefully end up there. That looks rather big foot. And again, same sort of thing with the alignment of the toes, that just curls around there. And then the rest of the foot there. So again, go back to the light lines, just move your way around the shapes. That's going to come around here. And then it's just a matter of going through each toe and just looking at the difference between the shapes. Something like that. Yeah, and then there's a little bit of toes there. So that's basically the process I go through.
So you make it look so easy.
I know.
Always a challenge. It's kind of juggling different ideas at the same time, because you're looking at proportions, look at that, maybe her head's a bit big, I'm not sure. You can do that measuring, you're looking at how big something is. Starting with something and then using that as your measurement to work out. So I pretty much always will start with the head, unless I'm, got somebody lying down on the foot is coming towards me. I pretty much would always start from the head. I pretty much always start from the top and work down. I just find that is the easiest way to work. Try and work inside out. Try and get some internal structure before you start doing outlines and contours. Because it's very easy to slightly get the contour wrong. But if you can get some internal structure, you're imagining where the middle of the forms are. Imagine where the bone is. Imagine get the direction before you start doing the contour. Because quite often, it might be going slightly this way or slightly that way, and it's so easy to get that wrong, and it throws the whole thing. That I didn't really talk about the back, but you could imagine where her spine would be. That might be sort of in there somewhere. So that would be my advice for drawing figures. So I thought I'd do a drawing this week. Obviously you can draw, you can paint, but whatever you'd like to do with this project, if you want to take this project on. Next week I'll do another drawing demo, but I'll do something like a couple of figures together and how to relate one to another, or you know, so the added complications of working with a couple of people. Okay, folks. Any questions?
No, I've realised that, I mean, not that I do much drawing, but when you draw in the arm, I'm thinking that looks a bit fat, and when I draw, I make it up myself instead of looking at what is in front of you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think, oh, she looks
Yeah.
a bit fat, you know you should draw that line, but you don't for some reason. So that's really helpful.
Yeah, it's looking like all the proportions, shapes,
proportion,
spaces between
When you
them.
finished it, it's
And relate one bit to another. A line this way, a line that.
to check everything. Yeah, thank you. It's great.
Okay, good.